Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Sorry this is coming out so late, a lot later than usual, probably about 12 hours later. But with NFL season starting, that has become the top priority for me to get videos out on YouTube since they are the most popular by far. I'm still doing my MLB content. I have my spreadsheet ready every day with projections on there, and I'm going to post those on Patreon. And I'll do a Patreon only video, like 100% for sure. But for the YouTube, if I can do it, I would love to. But NFL is going to take up most of my time as of right now, but I did get this video out because I wanted to let you guys know this in advance. So if you're interested in always having all my content, it's available on Patreon, link in the description below. And let's get into it. So at pitcher, we have Mike Clevenger at 12,200 versus the White Sox, Jack Flaherty at 10,500 versus the Giants, and Mike Montgomery at 4,300, so he's basically free, versus Detroit. So let's go take a little dive into the pitching sheet to see why I like the guys that I like. So up top, let me sort this by salary actually. I always forget to do that. Alright, so Mike Clevenger, he is extremely expensive, but thankfully for us, my favorite SP2 is free, so it does not matter how expensive Mike Clevenger is. He has been amazing this season, just absolutely huge games, 2.63 xFIP, 36.3 strikeout percentage, 7% walk rate's not bad either, just looks a little bit worse because Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom are right below him. Those are really tough. It's really tough to match their walk rates, but 7% is not too bad. And he has only a 30% fly ball rate, so he's not giving up a ton of hard contact at 35%, 44% ground ball rate. I do like that. And he is absolutely dominating righties. As you can see, he has a massive 43.8% strikeout rate to righties. He's got elite numbers all around. The White Sox suck versus right-handed pitching. If you look at their splits, they own a 26.3% strikeout rate, 141 team ISO, 293 team MOBA, and 81 WRC+. This is a smash spot for Mike Clevenger, and I would definitely try to get him in all your lineups because you can pair him up with Mike Montgomery, who is free. But first, let's talk about Jack Flaherty at 10,500. It's not the best matchup in the world in terms of strikeouts, but it is a pretty soft matchup as the Giants are below average in all categories versus right-handed pitching. And Jack Flaherty has finally got that price boost, but he's been elite this season. I guess I shouldn't say elite. He's been very, very good. Now he's a 3.88 xFIP, 28.8% strikeout rate. Now he does struggle with the ground balls a little bit, 37% comparatively to the rest of the guys in these price ranges, but we can live with it. He's been great. The Giants don't pose much of a threat on offense, and I think Jack Flaherty is a fine pivot off of Clevenger, but seriously, I much prefer Clevenger, even though he's a lot more expensive. And then all the way down here, we have a free Mike Montgomery at 4,300. Last time versus Detroit, I don't expect this ever again, but he did score 41 points versus them. Now, if you give me 10, I'll be happy. So that's 30 points less than he scored last time. So just give me 10, and I'll be fine. He's going to be chalk, but these numbers aren't good. I will say 4.35 xFIP. That's not too bad. 18% strikeout rate, it's not very good. 8% walk rate, it's not good. 10%. Never mind. Looking at the wrong number. 47% ground ball rate is not too bad and only allows a 24% fly ball rate. I do like that. Hard contact rate is up there. Does struggle with lefties as he's giving up a 328 ISO versus them and a 501 WOBA, which is massive. And not the best versus righties either, but just slightly better. So a little bit reverse splitsy. And you should see a decent amount of righties in this lineup. And Detroit is not good versus lefties either. Now they're really, really bad versus righties, but numbers aren't too bad against lefties for Michael Montgomery's sake. 25.5% strikeout rate, 151 team ISO, 304 team MOBA, 87 WRC+. Love me some Mike Montgomery today, and that's something I never thought I'd say. But this price tag and this slate, for sure get him in your lineups. And then let's go on to the bats now. So at catcher, we have Tom Murphy at 4,600 versus John Lester. The winds are insane in Chicago. I believe it's 16 miles per hour last time I looked, it's going out to rightish. So that's a big boost for lefties, but even righties too. It doesn't matter. Love all the bats in this game. I much prefer the Cubs side, but I like Tom Murphy. He's been hitting well. Brian McCann 3,300 versus Wilmer Font, and then whoever comes in afterwards. He's only 3,300, and I don't mind that. I do like the Braves today too. One of the top stacks. Then Jason Castro at 3,700 versus Rick Porcello, who always struggles versus lefties. If you look at his splits, he's not very good versus lefties. They're in Boston, good park for hitting. Don't mind Jason Castro. I love this game for offensive purposes. If you can game stack this game, I think that would be a really good idea. Then at first base, we have Carlos Santana at 4,800 versus Dylan Cease. I think that's how you say it. Not a very good pitcher. Carlos Santana is very, very good versus right-handed pitching. I love the Indians as one of the top stacks today. As you can see, I have them listed first. That might be just a little biased, but they're one of the top stacks. Then Anthony Rizzo, 4,800. I actually do prefer Rizzo in, like, let's say in cash games. I would prefer Santana and Indian stacks, but in cash games, I like Anthony Rizzo at 4,800 versus Felix Hernandez. He struggles with lefties. This game is going to really favor lefty power. The wind's blowing out. Love the Cubs here, and I definitely love Anthony Rizzo versus Felix Hernandez. Austin Nola is way too cheap at 3,300. He should be batting around third versus a lefty. He's hit lefties well, and like I said, wind's blowing out. Love this game. Second base, Whit Merrifield at 4,500 versus Daniel Norris. Whit's always been very good versus lefties. He's got stolen base upside in this matchup, like myself, some Whit Merrifield. Austin Nola, we already talked about, and Mike Freeman. Jason Kipnis is injured right at the moment, and Mike Freeman is 4K. Should be batting in a decent spot in the order, and he's a lefty versus Cease. I don't mind that. At third base, we have Chris Bryant at 4,300. I prefer the lefties versus Felix, but Chris Bryant's way too cheap, and the wind's blowing out. I love all the Cubs. Travis Shaw, he is absolutely dirt cheap. It's not a good matchup versus Greinke, but he's only 2,300 and he's facing a righty. So if you really absolutely need to punt the position, I don't mind going with Travis Shaw. And then we have Toro, if he's in the lineup at 2,800 versus Lyles, who does struggle with lefties. It's a pretty good park for hitting. Don't mind Lyles. Don't mind Toro if he's in the lineup. And then at shortstop, Frankie Lindor at 5,600. I haven't seen him this expensive in a long time. He's usually in that 5K, low 5K range, but he's the top bat for the Indians. And if I love the Indians, I have to love their best player, so I do like him. Jorge Polanco, 5K versus Rick Porcello. He's just another lefty facing Porcello. And Polanco's better versus righties anyway. And Corey Seager, 4K versus Chichi Gonzalez, who's not a very good pitcher. I know it was Coors Field, but he got absolutely murdered last time out. Corey Seager's pretty good versus righties. If he bats like second, I'd be very happy with that. And in the high-end outfield, we have Max Kepler at 5,300 versus Rick Porcello. He struggles with lefties. Max Kepler is awesome. It's a great park for hitting. I would love to get Max Kepler in my lineups if I can afford him. Yordan Alvarez, 5,200 versus Jordan Lyles, who I said struggles with lefties. Alvarez has a ton of power versus righties. And Mike Trout, who I cannot believe is 4,900 versus Mike Fiers. Fiers is a little bit reverse splitsy where he struggles with righties. He has by no means been terrible this season, but Mike Trout at 4,900 versus a righty, I don't get it. Put him in your lineup. And then in the mid-range outfield, we have Eddie Rosario versus Rick Porcello. Pretty much the same play as Max Kepler, so I'm not going to repeat that myself. He's just a little bit cheaper. Jock Peterson at 4,600 as long as he's okay versus Chichi Gonzalez. If he's going to be leading off versus a righty, I do like that a lot. Michael Brantley at 4,500 versus Jordan Lyles. I said I prefer the lefties versus Lyles, and it's a rule of law on this channel that we have to have Michael Brantley in the cheat sheet if he's mid 4K facing a righty. Then in the value outfield, Nick Castellanos, who's been raking on the Cubs since he got traded there, and I love this game. Like I said, wind's blowing out. Give me some Nick Castellanos. Franmil Reyes at 4,300 versus Dylan Cease. He's got actually more power versus righties, so I don't mind him. Yasiel Puig at only 3,900. Part of that Indian stack's just a little too cheap as well. Jake Cave, 4,300 if he's in the lineup versus Porcello. He's been hitting well recently. And Jason Hayward, 3,600, should be leading off versus Felix Hernandez, and he's just way too cheap. So I do think he'll have a decent amount of ownership as well. Then the core plays and top stacks for me are Mike Clevenger at 12.2, Mike Montgomery at 4.3, Austin Nola at 3.3, and Mike Trout at 4,900. Ridiculous 4,900. And then top stacks for me are the Indians, the Cubs, the Twins, the Braves, the Dodgers, and the Red Sox. And I will be posting a video on Patreon later before lock, and chances are most of my videos are going to be on Patreon only just from here on out because I got to do NFL content, and it's really hard juggling NASCAR content, NFL content, which are more popular at the moment, and then the MLB. But I always have my spreadsheet ready, so if you're interested, like I said, link in the description below. Remember to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out, and I really appreciate it. I've gained a lot of subscribers like the last 2 days. We're at 1,600. That's awesome. I feel like I was just at 1,400. So I really appreciate all the support on there. I wish you guys the best of luck. And yeah, can't wait for the slate to start.